welcome to an enthralling read of whatever this is. Um, my name is Jacob, and today we are going to be reading some stories, I suppose. These are better known as erotica. I'm doing this for a friend who has asked me to read it for her, and I'll see if I can get through the whole story. It looks kind of short, haven't read it yet, so we're all in for surprises right now. Let us begin with the story known as the Gingerbread Bang. Clementine lived in a small cottage with her husband, Paul, who was a baker. His bakery business, occupied most of their kitchen. Small as it was, they rarely used it for anything else, much to Clementine's frustration. How am I meant to cook anything? She asked one day, as Paul worked on some new recipe. She threw open the cupboards, which were stuffed with every kind of baking-related ingredient you could think of. Shelf after shelf of flour, sugars of all colors, spices, essences. The refrigerator mainly housed milk, butter, and eggs. Only the bottom shelf had anything resembling proper food, and that was only because Paul had been experimenting with bacon and maple cupcakes that week. Clementine let the fridge door close and turned to Paul, who was hunched over his recipe book. He hadn't turned around since she entered, hadn't noticed her new sheer nightie. If you're happy with bacon omelets for the next week, that's what you could have, she said. Paul stared away at a bowl of something. That might be all you get in the mornings from now on, she said, readjusting her straps to let a bit of cleavage show. Paul. He muttered something, but didn't turn around. Paul, are you even listening? Stir, stir, stir. Fine. I'm going out with Janice for a couple of drinks. If you're going out, can you get me some more yeast and eggs? The only answer he got was a slammed door. Clementine made her way through 2 glasses of Bordeaux and was about to order the rest of the bottle when Janice arrived. She was wearing a low-cut summer dress, which barely covered her ample, mostly fake, breasts. Sorry I'm late. Traffic, Janice explained, trading air kisses. Phew. Smells like you got started without me. Are we ordering food? Or should I go straight to the bar? Clementine shrugged. I'm probably not the best person to ask about sobriety right now. Janice waved for the waiter as she spoke. What's he done this time? The usual. I might as well not exist. I was trying to hint that we should open up some space in the kitchen, so I can make a proper dinner. As the waiter approached, they stopped for a moment. Janice ordered a martini. Clementine caved in and asked for the rest of the bottle. Carry on. Yeah, well, that's about it. 3rd time this week. I was in that new thing I told you about. The little nighty thing. And he didn't even look at me once. I didn't know how much longer I could stand it. The waiter returned. They took their drinks, Clementine taking a large gulp of her wine. Janice sipped and watched. He got you really messed up, huh? I love him to bits. But I have to do something, snap him out of it. He's too into his work. Her eyes went to the young bottom of the waiter as he served another table. She began stroking the rim of her glass, lost in thought. Janice looked around, then back at her. No, come off it, Clem. You can't be thinking. No harm in thinking, she said, finishing the wine. You can't cheat with your eyes. No, said Janice, sliding Clementine's empty glass away from her. But after enough of these, you won't be seeing straight anyway, let alone thinking straight. Clementine slumped back into her chair. So what? What can I do? Janice leaned over the table, her breast almost spilling out of her top. You need to get his attention, right? Yes. So, she said, leaning closer still, the table wobbling. What if I told you I could get you a little something? Make him a bit keener, if you know what I mean. Drugs? Shh, not so loud. You haven't got a subtle bone on your body. Okay, drugs? Clementine said in a stage whisper. You know, like Spanish fly. It's like that, only not poisonous. Tastes a bit like ginger. How would you know? Janice leaned back, grinning. I gave some to Peter. Clementine laughed. Why? He's a randy old bugger anyway. He gets tired after he plays squash. And I got tired of him being tired. I gave him a bit in his tea and he perked up. Right up. Clementine sat up. She could slip some into one of his test batches. Perfect. How much does it cost? Janice smiled again. At least 2 more of these, she said, drowning the rest of her martini. As it was nearing Christmas, Clementine knew Paul would be messing around with gingerbread recipes, which she gave an opportunity to test Janice's miracle drug. She opened the small baggie it came in, inhaling deeply. It had a definite scent of ginger, plus something else chemical. She thought Paul wouldn't notice that, as he was trying something new this year. A pinch of paprika in it, with the other spices. Should give it a kick, he said, balling up the dough as she watched. You've got no idea, she thought. He wrapped the dough to cling film and left it to rest in the fridge. She'd seen where he'd left it. Clementine reminded Paul that he needed yeast. Ugh. You didn't get any? I must have forgotten, she said with a smirk. She waited until he heard his car firing up, then went to the fridge. He'd be gone a while. They were a log away from the shops. She'd have more than enough time to mix up a little. Rolling up her sleeves, she slapped the dough onto the counter. Now for the secret ingredient, she said, sprinkling the fine, golden brown powder into a ball of dough. She couldn't help but breathe some of it as it fell. The scent was intoxicating. Her nipples started to harden inexplicably. She felt a tingle in her pussy. Oh my. She squeezed her thighs together, enjoying the feel. As she squeezed, she started to work her hands into the dough. It was gave easily, but under her fingertips she kneaded the powder in. Her excitement building. She began rolling the dough into a round ball. It felt pliable and soft, just like her breasts when she rubbed them. One hand went to her breast. The other stayed on the dough. She softly pushed against each one in turn. She realized that her eyes would close and snap them open. Wow, powerful stuff, she thought, her attention going back to the task at hand. The dough looked thoroughly kneaded, but she started to worry that the powder might affect the taste, despite the paprika. She began to form the dough into a long cylinder, ready to roll it out, cut out a piece for a test bake. Curling a hand around the doughy log, she realized just how much it looked like a penis. Laughing, she wiggled it around. With a slight pinch, she managed to form a head. With her little finger, she created a hole at the tip. It was now a monstrous ginger-scented cock. Thick and heavy, she felt a pang of desire, which she ignored. As big as it wasn't going to do her any good. Floppy as it was. Clementine moved it from hand to hand, put it down, picked it up again. It was so big and thick. She got a baking tray out and preheated the oven. The smell of hot dough filled the room, and after 20 minutes, she removed the doughy cock from the oven and gave it a proper prod. Firm. Still too hot to handle, though, she thought, laughing. Okay, so, yeah, I'm running out of time, and I will have to finish more of this another time. So, for now, ta-ta. Oh dear.